prior on a crowd of more than 20,000 concert goers from his hotel room in Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. In a few minutes, 58 people were dead and 400 wounded. It was the largest mass shooting ever in the history of the United States. Yet, just a couple of years later, we almost seem to have forgotten that crime. We talk about other crimes, but not about that one. Why is that? Money Machine is a new documentary that's out that focuses on basically how Las Vegas swept this shooting under the rug with corrupt policing and political cover-ups, questionable practices, and finally culminating in a settlement that made no sense for the victims. This movie is directed and produced by Ramsey Denison. He's edited over 30 television shows, worked for CBS, MTV, Disney, and Universal. This is his debut documentary about what happened in Las Vegas. Welcome to the show, Ramsey. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Karen.
I really enjoyed the documentary. I mean, to say I enjoyed it because it was just difficult to watch, but it was so interesting because, you know, we didn't know these facts, and I don't know if it was because I was asleep at the wheel or because the media didn't cover it or because there was a cover-up. But how did you come up with the idea of covering this crime?
Well, I was actually in Vegas on 1 October. I'd actually, and I was there, to be honest with you, I was with a friend and we were betting on football games. So we were sitting on a sports book watching football and, and it was just another day. And as it happened, it was a very bad day at the sports book. I think we lost our games, but then, we learned real quick that we didn't have any real problems, and when all hell broke loose in Vegas and, 1 October happened. But it started off just like another day.
The documentary has Stephen Paddock's brother, who's giving an exclusive interview. Why did he finally talk, and what can the viewers who watch this movie, and I highly recommend it, it's a short movie, it's very easy to watch, it will keep your attention. What is it that he basically brings to the table that maybe we didn't know?
Well, what Eric Paddock brings to the table is simply the truth, which is something that MGM has a lot of interest in not coming out because, we're talking about a shooting where 58 people died, and we're talking about a shooting where hundreds of people were seriously injured and where a lot of those 20,000 plus people in the audience have PSD for the rest of their lives. I know a lot of people who were there that night and people who were injured. We interview those people for our film Money Machine. And when you talk to them, I mean, it's usually only a couple minutes they start breaking down in tears. So this is a very traumatic event for them. And I think they are the ones who've kind of been forgotten. And that's because I truly believe that MGM just wanted this to be over as fast as possible. They wanted to take as little responsibility for it as possible. And because of their tremendous money and power and resources, and because of the corruption that you have in Nevada, in both the department and just the politicians that run Nevada in general, they were kind of able to get away with it.
Let's set up what happened that night for people, again, who may not remember this because it kind of went and came and went so quickly. If you could set up what happened, where everyone was, what was going on,
right,
and how it ended.
So October 1, 2017, it was the Route 91 concert in Vegas. It was the last night of the concert. And if you talk to the people who were there, they'll tell you it was a really, until all hell broke loose, it was a really pleasant night. A lot of people enjoyed the experience. They were having a great time. And then after somebody started performing, one of their acts, all of a sudden people started hearing gunshots. And originally some people thought it was fireworks. And then all of a sudden people started falling over and they realized it was gunfire. And, Stephen Paddock was able to fire on that crowd of people for over 10 minutes. And he killed 58 and he wounded hundreds more and gave emotional trauma to just about everybody in the audience that night. And, there was a lot of things that happened at the concert that, there was a lot of bottlenecking, so people couldn't get out in time. And not only that, but MGM actually, Mandalay Bay had over 200 surveillance cameras down that night that were not working. So, this all kind of received very little coverage in the media, and MGM was really kind of able to keep a lot of these headlines out of the news. And the reason I was able to find out about a lot of this is because I knew retired officers in the department, and they were getting this information directly from active officers in the LVMPD. And so I had about 4 or 5 retired LVMPD officers, some of which appear in the movie on camera, who were really the source of that information that MGM and the LVMPD would have preferred a lot of this stuff didn't come out.
I want to give everybody a chance to see this documentary, Money Machine. Ramsey, where can people access this movie?
Money Machine is available through Theatrical-At-Home. That's theatrical-at-home.com. And if you go there and select, basically what it is it's, the Money Machine was booked at theaters across the country. And almost all those theaters are down due to COVID. They're not open. And so what Theatrical-At-Home is it donates a portion of the ticket sale to those theaters who booked the film during this difficult time where they're closed because of COVID. So theatrical-at-home.com, and then click on Money Machine, and it doesn't matter which theater you select. So you could be in Alabama and select a Los Angeles theater or whatever, and then it just means that ticket sale will go to that particular theater, but you can stream the movie from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada through Theatrical-At-Home.
Highly recommend it. Before we take a break, I want to just say that, as a lawyer, we as lawyers think in different ways. We think about fault. And I remember following this news story, and I commented on it on my local Fox affiliate here. I do some analysis. And, people were asking me, well, who's at fault? And, maybe there's some fault here, but, I thought, who is at fault? Who could possibly imagine this rogue gambler coming up to the 30-something floor with thousands of dollars and rounds and rounds and rounds of ammunition? And how could they have prevented it? It just doesn't make sense that the hotel could. I changed my mind completely. Can you tell our listeners at least some of the reasons that you think this hotel was at fault?
Well, for one thing, they're at fault because they allowed this guy to fire on a crowd for over 10 minutes, and they're at fault because it took the LVMPD 70 minutes to get to Stephen Paddock's hotel room. Think of that, 70 minutes from the time those opening shots are heard, and by the time they got here, he's dead. But also, you're talking about Mandalay Bay had over 200 surveillance cameras not operational, and when you talk to people, and that's straight from a surveillance, we have that footage in the movie. The guy's blurred out, a former surveillance director telling you that. And so, and we kind of inquired about why were those cameras not operational? And it turns out they weren't in gaming related areas. And of course, Vegas is all about money, money, money. And so, the gaming cameras, those are always like tip top and operational because that's how they catch cheaters who get in the way of the money. But the surveillance cameras, in areas where you might notice something suspicious, like a guy bringing over 20 guns up into his room, even though they were in cases. A lot of those cameras were out. And so I do think there's a lot of liability in, and I think that was kind of swept under the rug. And I don't think that was an accident. And, I think MGM is at fault for a lot of this. And I think they treated the victims, very poorly. I mean, we saw that when they sued the victims of the mass shooting. Who does that?
We'll come back, we're going to talk a little bit about that, but there's one scene that just sort of stuck with me, and that is you had security footage of I believe it was the security guards coming up to the room while the shooting was still going on, and they were just standing there.
Right.
They weren't doing anything to get into the room to stop the shooting. Is there any explanation for why that happened? To me, that was astounding.
It was astounding, and it was not only Mandalay Bay's armed security, but it was also the LVMPD officer, Cordell Hendricks, was just shaking like a little baby in the hallway. And people will say, well, it's a terrifying situation. Yeah, but you're a cop, and you signed up for this. So, the LVMPD prevented that footage from coming out, which was interesting. They used a series of legal maneuvers to prevent that footage coming out until after Sheriff Joe Lombardo had been elected. And in my opinion, that wasn't an accident, I forget which shooting it was where you saw like an officer failed to take action, and it became big news, and the guy got fired, and it became a PR storm. So I don't think it was an accident that got delayed.
Yeah, that was the Parkland, I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah.
what you're referring to. Yep, and then they were even talking about charging him if they ended up doing that. But let's take a break now. If you
Sure.
have any questions, 312-981-7200. We're talking to Ramsey Denison, who is the producer and director of a great new short documentary, Money Machine, which is about the 2017 shooting at the Mandalay Bay Hotel. Stay tuned. You're listening to WGN.
Your home is your castle, your peace, your safe place. Our job at 1-800-GOT-JUNK is to make junk disappear.
And we're good at it.
Your home will feel bigger,
And cleaner.
and you'll feel happier.
We promise.
Give us a call,
Or go to our website.
and your junk will magically disappear as our truck drives past your home.
Well, almost.
We'll be in and out before you complain.
And our gloves professionals touch nothing except the things you want to disappear.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage. Making the right financial decisions has never been more important. When you turn to Rocket Mortgage, we can help guide you to those right decisions now, when they matter most. Mortgage rates are near historic lows, so now is a great time to call 8338-ROCKET. And if you need some extra money, a cash-out refinance could give you that financial boost you're looking for. Call today at 8338-ROCKET or go to rocketmortgage.com to learn more. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states and MLS number 3030.
Right now, it's important to have your home properly cleaned. Clean your carpets, rugs, floors, tile, and upholstery. Hire Executive Green Carpet Cleaning for a level of clean no one else delivers. They invest in the world's most powerful truck mounts and carpet cleaning machines. They've got the premier equipment that no other carpet cleaner in Chicagoland has. Executive Green Carpet Cleaning uses ultra-purified water with a safe detergent-free spray. They never apply harsh chemicals that leave a residue behind. And most importantly, they thoroughly scrub and agitate your carpet. It's a step that other carpet cleaners neglect. They'll leave your carpet with a nice, even-looking finish that is dry to the touch in just a couple of hours. For every single job, they utilize this system of important steps. They never take shortcuts. Call now. Get 3 rooms sparkling for just $139. If you're not satisfied with their work, you don't pay. Here's the number. 630-990-8600. Call 630-990-8600. Visit ExecutiveGreenCarpetCleaning.com.
We're here with Ramsey Denison talking about his new film, Money Machine, which is about the 2017 Las Vegas shooting that killed 58 people and injured 400 more. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Ramsey, there was talk in the movie that there might have been more than one shooter. Do you have an opinion from having spent a lot of time with this topic? Could there have been more than one shooter?
I don't believe there could have been. And that's one of the things we debunk in the movie. And quite honestly, when I started the movie, I was of the other opinion. Because if you talk to a lot of people that were there that night, they'll tell you that it felt like the gunfire was coming from very close. But that's also because of the acoustics of Vegas, and the fact that, you had all those hard surfaces and those echoes were like making it reverbing and making it sound like it was coming from a lot of places. But see, when I became convinced there wasn't was when somebody pulled surveillance footage from 6 different camera angles from that night, from before the concert till early in the morning, and you just can't see it. So if you're looking at footage of that Route 91 field, where this happened, and you can't see any multiple shooters, then that to me kind of closes the case on that, and that's what we explore in the film. And we also have a forensic audio analyst. This is a doctor, a guy with a doctorate who goes in and does this stuff, and he listened to it and said that he can't hear anything in the gunfire that indicates multiple shooters. So I don't believe there was.
But what was interesting about that is you were very honest about that there were victims who thought that, but you debunked it. It wasn't like the police did an investigation that did all the things that you did in order to put these victims at ease that there was only one shooter. It seemed like you did more research on it than the police did.
Oh yeah, I mean and that's the thing. This was never about anything other than get this out of the way as fast as possible and get the registers ringing again. I mean, there's so much money in Vegas, and you saw that, and so. I mean, they did a very shoddy investigation. You saw that when, a guy pulled video camera footage like, we have that scene in the movie where a guy just a couple blocks away, you can see Mandalay Bay in the background, and this citizen, Mike Turber, just pulled footage from that shot because the FBI or the police never came and looked for it, which is unbelievable that you would have, they talked about how they had hundreds of people working on this and stuff, and they're not even pulling footage of the shooting, like that's pointing right at Mandalay Bay, and he pulled the footage and ended up on Tucker Carlson, and you can see a woman being drugged to her death and stuff. So it is unbelievable that they the shoddy work done by the LVMPD and how they were kind of complicit in helping MGM make this go away, and in my opinion, minimizing their legal liability as well.
I guess I would think if this were a small town and it was a baseball field and they never had any murder in the town, but I would imagine that Las Vegas has been a target, or at least has thought of themselves as a target for terrorism, if not domestic terrorism, than terrorism from outside, because, we're better to just blow off a bunch of guns than a loaded casino. I mean,
you're exactly right.
Should they have made, did they have protocol in place?
Yeah, I mean, and as you know from in the movie, we even have former LVMPD officers talking about how after 9/11, they were all very, very aware that Vegas could be the next terrorist target, and so this was something that a lot of people will tell you they were surprised the way it was done, but not many people were in the LVMPD were surprised that it had happened, because a lot of people have been saying it would for many, many years.
Paddock, the lone shooter. Can you tell us a little bit about his background? And because I don't think that was really clear from media accounts, or at least in Chicago, I never got a clear picture of what he was and who he was.
Yeah, Stephen Paddock was a very, very unusual killer in just about every way. For one thing, he was wealthy. He'd made a lot of money in real estate. And, when we started talking to his brother and really taking a deep dive into his background, we found a lot of interesting things about Stephen. He wasn't volatile. This wasn't a guy who, even people, I think his ex-wives didn't even have many negative things to say about him. So it was very out of the blue. He didn't really fit the profile of the usual person who does something like this. And he wasn't a guy who raised his voice. He was, he's rather methodical and calm. And basically what we found out from his brother, and when we looked into it, he wasn't necessarily trying to make money in the casinos. He was trying to break even and come out ahead on the comps. He was retired. He'd made a lot of money in land, as had his brother Eric, who we'd interviewed in the film. And this is kind of something interesting to do, get free shrimp cocktails and fancy rooms and just kind of hang out in Vegas. It's a good way to retire, That's kind of how we saw it.
And did he at some point become angry because he wasn't getting the comps that he thought he was entitled to?
Yes, now a lot of people say, well, that's absurd that somebody would shoot up a concert over comps, and they're absolutely right. That is absurd. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. But so is somebody who's going to open fire, who's going to kill people and then themselves, So I understand that a lot of people have had a lot of backlash against that notion that he would kill all these people because of comps, and I agree, it's absolutely unexcusable and terrible. But listen, when you're talking about madmen and people who commit crimes, that everybody has a motive, and even if it's crazy and something none of us would ever do, it doesn't mean it wasn't a motive. You know what I'm saying? So there's a reason he did this, and there's a reason he did it where he did it, from MGM property, and he did that to leave them liable.
And like you said, he obviously had to plan this out. The number of guns, getting them up, starting it, knowing that the festival was going on, knowing where to be. This obviously wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment decision.
Correct. It was well planned, and you'll never hear MGM or anybody in the LVMPD concede that, because for one thing, it underlines how incompetent they were, both the LVMPD and MGM in stopping this. And it was really some of the behind-the-scenes legal maneuvering that went on that was also questionable, like the fact that the mediator in the settlement, Jennifer Tagliati, her father was a VP of security at MGM. Talk about a conflict of interest. So this was, and that was another thing we explore in the film about how, they tried to pin this down and minimize their liability and by having somebody on the inside. it was just kind of incredible that they would have the gall to do that. You know, but
Let's play a clip. I don't know exactly which one I pulled. I just pulled a few of them, and I think one of them I pulled, who's the mayor of Las Vegas, who's basically kind of just trying to cover things up.
Right, Carolyn Goodman, right, the mayor with an IQ of 2. Yeah.
I offered to be a control group, and I was told by our statistician we can't do that.
And Anderson Cooper was sitting there in disbelief at the amount of crap he was hearing from this woman.
This isn't China. This is Las Vegas, Nevada.
Wow, okay, that's really ignorant. If you can't figure out how to do this safely, why, as mayor of a city that you are responsible for the people's safety, are you calling for something that you have no plan for how it would be done safely?
They better figure it out. That's their
Idiot.
job.
So she was talking about COVID, which was an interesting part of your documentary, because the whole thing was about the shooting, but it was the same type of attitude
Theme,
that,
yes.
that the politicians had, which is get people back to work, and we don't care if it's safe or not.
Yeah, money, money, money.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's why the movie's called Money Machine. That was to me, it was on theme because they don't care about anything but money. And Carolyn Goodman didn't care about anything but money, and you saw that in the mass shooting, and you saw it with the way they handled COVID, and that and I mean it's so that's that was the underlying theme of the film, is that anything that gets in the way of that those registers ringing just has to be shoved out of the way.
We have just about a minute, but I want to talk about the lawsuit. The Mandalay Bay MGM, they sued the victims. Why in the world would the hotel sue the victims?
It was kind of a legal liability. Basically, there's a couple reasons. One, they were citing the Safety Act, which was passed after 9/11 and was meant to kind of get if a terrorist act had happened, then they wouldn't be legally liable for it. But one of the interesting developments was that a guy named Roger Kennis has actually recently backed out of the settlement. He said that he doesn't want to participate in it after it came out that Jennifer Tagliati was the daughter of a former, who was supposed to be an impartial mediator, was in fact the daughter of an MGM VP. And that VP actually happened to be in charge of security, George Tagliati, at the time of the shooting. So, and you could argue that their negligence was part of why this happened. So, Roger Kennis basically as we explore in the movie, he backed out of this settlement, and he's kind of fighting for justice to be done here, because he believes this was kind of that this whole thing was kind of dirty, and that the survivors need to take a stand against this corruption.
Ramsey, can you just tell us where we can find Money Machine, and then we're going to have to take a break.
Yeah, you can find Money Machine at Theatrical-At-Home.com. Select any theater, and you can watch the movie anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. And part of that money goes to the theaters who booked the film that are down for COVID.
Denison, thank you so much. It's a great movie. I highly recommend it.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and good luck to you.
Appreciate it.
We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and take your legal questions here at WGN.